The stuff that's directly contradictory, oh yeah, that's canon, written stone. And that's just become my view of things, and movies especially. I've been thinking about this one ever since I watched this.
Let's go. I am ready to ride the horse and cut some goobers.
Well, howdy. Nearly Senior Citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends, and welcome to this, a brand new day with the sun shining, the globe spinning. Oh, goodness gracious, there are subatomic particles everywhere. It is good to exist. Thumbs up for that. Existence is, on the whole, a blessing. Of course, we all exist without our own consent. We are brought into this existence and world just from nowhere, yanked from nothingness, and here we are. So, hey, enjoy it while it's here. Thumbs up for that. I slept last night, mostly, and that's good. It was rainy and wet, and so my feet were all soaked when I was out walkies, but even at that, it was a nice walk. A good bit of exercise and nice bits of thinking and such, and it was good. I was existing, the world was existing. There was a brief moment that I actually stopped to let a moth pass by, where if I hadn't stopped, it would have bonked into me. I shared my existence with a moth, and it was a very good thing. And hey, front loading of videos. Thank you, YouTube algorithms. Hey, if you could toss me a like, that'd be very cool. If you could subscribe to the channel, that too would be awesome. If you could leave me a comment. I really enjoy comments. I read every single one. I thumbs up each one I do read. Again, all of them. I answer as many as my executive dysfunction will allow. Thumbs up on that. And of course, I do want to thank each and every one of my Patreon patrons, these beautiful and literally awesome people whom deserve better than I am able to do right now because of my executive dysfunction and meds change. No longer on ADHD meds at all, so no longer able to concentrate, and this list is not as up to date as I would like it to be. My sincere apologies, but thumbs up to each and every one of these beautiful and awesome people. It is a very good thing. Hey, your front loading of videos over. Yay! So yeah, yesterday I just played games, I watched videos, I tried to do what I could do. This was all after therapy. And my therapist, of course, it didn't really understand the full situation with my med stuff until I was able to fully explain, I can't take this anymore or I'm going to die. So he finally, was able to make that sink in, but we talked about stuff, and he's still pleased with how I'm taking this all, because as depressed and unhappy about this as I am, I also know, again, that it's not the end of the world. It's just a bit of a roadblock. It's not the end, so no fear. Just a bit of a bad point. So hopefully today I'm going to call and try and get some health things done, like my med manager, call up the VA appointments for my various bits of health, and hopefully I'm going to find out that I'm not going to die anytime soon, because I do have some issues that are causing me that sort of fear. We shall see. But I did exist, and I played games. I've continued playing things like Vampire Survivor, because that at most is a 30-minute game. This guy has a hard limit of 30 minutes on it. And with my untreated ADHD in full control again, it's bright lights, it's loud sounds, it's short, and it's fast. So I've been playing a lot, getting a lot of achievements that a lot of people haven't gotten. So definitely a thumbs up on that. Yay! So it is a good thing, but I've been, like I say, just trying to watch videos as best I can, and also just trying to still be as creative as possible. And I'm still thinking about things, and that's why it is a good thing. One thing I do want to talk about I can't remember exactly why I had thought about this, the whole thing about Canon. Especially comic book and movie fans are huge about this one and loud about, Canon. Oh, that goes again. The character wouldn't do this. Oh, but the character did this and you didn't talk about it. Oh, the character did this, but you said it was this way. I used to be one of those where it was important. It's like people would go like, why does it matter? It's like, well, if you show that the character wore this type of boot back, 10 years ago with this particular story, and you don't reference that, or you make it so it's a different thing, you're invalidating backstories. But that has changed for me over the years, and I talked about this before, but it's still true, and it hits me with a lot of things, especially since I was watching something about Skyrim this morning as well, where they were talking about the contradictory parts of one of the main gods of the game Skyrim, Akatosh, and how it's contradictory, and so there's the contradictory nature and how odd that is and how hard it is for the god to try and figure out. And that also hit me with the whole canon thing, and also, you think that's conflicted? We have so many gods in our world right now that people are worshiping that are, I am a god of life, I'm also the god of death. Don't you think that's a trifle contradictory? There's so many gods and goddesses that are, I am a god of peace and war. We're steeped in this with our mythology. Having a contradictory god would not make sense otherwise. We're human beings. We're going to come up with things that don't make sense. Which ties back into canon and my views on canon now, because my views on canon I know piss people off because they would piss me off if I were younger. I don't talk about it a lot. It's just I have, and it bothers people because it's, again, you say, well, what part of the story is canon? What part of the timeline, what part of this is all canon? And the answer is, of course, all of it. Every last bit of it is canon. All of it is canon. And when they ask, well, what about the contradictory parts? That answer can only possibly be, it's all canon, especially the parts that contradict each other. Those are the most canon. Those parts that have no disagreements, they're boring. Who cares? The stuff that's directly contradictory, oh yeah, that's canon, written stone. And that's just become my view of things, and movies especially. I've been thinking about this one ever since I watched this first half of a video essay on Twin Peaks and how this one person got it right, in my view, on how it's an emotional thing. It is not to be intellectualized, it is to be experienced. And dream logic is the big part of it. If you watch a David Lynch film or a David Lynch TV series, you can't really use day-to-day logic. You have to use dream logic. And that's one of the big problems with things like modern day superhero movies, because you need to have that canon, but everything is canon. Dream logic. Does it make sense? No. But that's why it makes sense. I really need to watch the last series of a season of Twin Peaks and rewatch the whole thing over again. But am I ever going to do that? Probably not. It'd be nice, but one of the big things that I want to concentrate on, since on my list here I have a bunch of stuff, but there's luckily more than I could talk about in just one day, but I do want to talk about it. And somebody in comments thought it was funny that I have a list of topics. I have been a talker my whole life. Even though I am an introvert, I am an extroverted introvert. I recharge by being around human activity, human artifacts, and interacting in short bursts with people, and then I'm done. And one of the things I do is I talk and I listen, and if I can't, then I'm stuck. So I have a bunch of things I'd like to talk about, and I have no one to talk about them with. So I talk. And yeah, I have a topics list. Let's see if I can remember exactly which one I was going to talk about now. Because the whole canon thing was there. Yes, I wanted to talk about, because I've mentioned this character before. There is a character in The Razor's Edge, Gal Adea, as an example of people that they like to stay in shape, training so that they carry weapons and are on guard so that other people don't have to if they don't want to. And she is one of those. At an early age of 12, she had some experiences that taught her, I need to be as prepared as possible, along with the knowledge that even the best being prepared isn't going to help. She's got a tech sword that she's using to train with, and she got the tech sword off a guy who it didn't help because the piston trap smashed him flat, and that don't help, does it? So she's got her sword and she's been training with it. I talked about the first time that she used it, where at 18 years old, if she hadn't had the sword and been training, she and everyone with her would already have been long eaten. In her mid-20s, she has a situation where she's got her weapon out. She's always ready. She's one of those types. She's kind of the gym bro type. She's training, and if she's not training, she's thinking about training, and if she's not thinking about training, she's doing some mild stuff in place just to stay active. She's not a very complex individual, but she is an individual. She's just dedicated to this. And one of the things, she's got her sword out. She goes around the corner because she's hearing noise, and she's caught by surprise. She doesn't expect to see a gigantic lizard, like big around in the middle is a minivan, coming 25 miles per hour down the alleyway right at her. Off balance, caught by surprise. She's got her sword out, but she's not in any position to be able to fight, especially something that big. So she just gets it into place, and it is a tech sword, and clicks the thing to put it into inertial parry mode. So it just sits there, hanging in the air, having absorbed over 24 hours worth of kinetic energy. And with this sword, when you fall out of an airplane and you impact the planet, it is also functionally the same as if you are perfectly motionless and the planet smacks into you. Just like that, if you smack into the sword hard enough to you hit the sword, it is effectively the sword hit you. And this thing absorbs enough inertial impact that when it does hit you, it is like being hit by a fully kitted out big rig hauling 2 full trailers of molten lead, all on one tiny impact point. This is usually enough to thoroughly granulate anything that's even a semi-solid and liquefy anything that's less. And when this lizard plows into the sword at that speed, all of that impact of that two trailers of lead whap into this thing's skull. The skull survives. The skin of the creature survives. The full impact and force of this hitting the skull fires it backwards through its own body. The sheer impact of the energy as it stops and fires back this way instantly, as stated, liquefies and granulates the entire inside of its body. So its skull is being fired backward through the soup inside of the skin. There's only really one way out, and the skull goes through the anal opening of the skin, dragging the skin out with it, which is firing the liquefied insides of the lizard down the alleyway that it just came thundering up. Of course, this skin, as it's being pulled inside out, when it hits the end, cracks like a whip, and about 5 gallons of liquefied lizard is fired at a speed hard enough to blast Gal and a whole bunch of people and stuff backwards about 10 feet. No major injuries, minor injuries, some people having to take a little bit of physical therapy to recover from it, but that's better than what would have happened had the lizard come through. The skin, upon cracking like a whip, just impacts and spreads outward in a ball around the sword, while the skull and the juice fire down the alleyway, and about 100 feet some down, the skull slams into and impacts itself into the side of a building. This takes, as much as it took a lot of words to say it, about 2 seconds from impact with sword to tiny bits of rubble falling and finishing with the skull embedded in a wall in the back. It literally like a meat bomb goes off at point of impact. Everybody's not quite sure what the hell happened because it's like, oh my God, stagger back and boom, boom, meat bomb explodes everywhere. But Gal Adea survives, and everyone that is with her survives. Sure, it had nothing to do with her skill. But if she hadn't had that sword, if she hadn't been ready to think fast, if she hadn't got it into place, triggered it, and then staggered back, they all would have just been a snack. So, good thing that some people like her can think quickly and find stuff like that. There's more stories, and I hope to talk more about her later, because I really like her as a character, even though she's very simple and basic. But that's okay. And I've opened up 24 hours worth of comments in my community tab. I'm going to go through and thank however many people have left me comments in the last 24 hours. It isn't much, but anything more than 0 is awesome. Yay! If I mispronounce the username, no disrespect is intended, and even though I can't American Sign Language, well, my untreated ADHD combined with all my other issues, oy vey, oy vey. So we have Jocelyn Williams. Very good to see you in the comments, and I like that character I'm coming up with. Thank you very much. We have Confused L29. It was a day. Jesse Koskinen, thumbs up, and yep, I have a GameCube and an N64, and not really any games for either. I hate being poor, but life is life. Good to see you in the comments. Disembodied Studios, thumbs up and thank you. Hollow, I will do what I can and thank you. Autumn Princess, it is now on the list and thank you. We have Ben B. Oh my God. It almost killed me to lose my wife. If I lost one of my children, I don't think I would have survived. So yeah, it's bad. Your children are literally hostages to fate if you are a parent. Oh boy. There is Scott 49140. I am excuse me. Comrade Soviet horse shall be avenged. His death shall not be in vain. And we have Nico Bands, thumbs up and thank you. Honor, I am hoping to. I've heard so much about Breaking Bad. I want to watch that. There is Jay. Oh, you're the person who left the comment about the list. It is. I have to keep it in mind. If I don't write some stuff down, I'm doomed. But good to see you. We have Favel. Thumbs up and thank you. And then there is Maya254, greatly appreciated. Kim, thumbs up and thank you. Armchair Express, it is true. And Brooks Fleming, greatly appreciated. Thumbs up and thank you. Each and every one of you. Yay, get me out of my head and into the world and dealing with real people, if only in text and if only for a short time. But that is appreciated. Thumbs up. And with my hands in the air, of course, I don't know what device you're watching this on, so I don't know where the show more is, but inside I have links to all my various channels, as well as my Twitter, my Facebook, my Patreon, and again, I do want to thank each and every one of my Patreon patrons. Excuse me. These literally beautiful, literally awesome people are, in fact, literally beautiful and literally awesome. And if you would like to be literally beautiful and literally awesome yourself, then I have links to that in the show more, etc. As stated. Yay! I don't know how to speak English anymore. If you'd like to help me out without becoming a patron, I do have links to a PayPal. And if you'd like to help me out without sending any money at all, I have links to an Amazon, well, of course, links to an Amazon wish list link. That makes sense, doesn't it? With things like cat food on it. And oh boy, I am hurting for cash, so if anyone could help me out to keep my kitty cat fed, that would be very awesome. Thank you. And hey, if you could, let's see, have I done this part about you toss me a like? And if you could subscribe, hit the notification bell on the subscription button. I hate being unmedicated for ADHD. I really do. My poor brain. So hopefully I'm going to get the phone calls made today that I need to get made, because really I don't want to die if I can avoid doing that. So hopefully I can get that done, and hopefully you too can get done the things that you need to get done. That would be very cool as well. And of course the Covfefe bug is raging. We have new surges, new spikes. We're understanding these things. There's variants that are cropping up everywhere, even though it seems like the world response to this is becoming, who cares if everyone dies. Don't be one of those. You don't need to check out. This is not a political issue, it's a disease. So please take your precautions, take it seriously, and don't check out early. So, until we meet again, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side. And quite frankly, I do think that's a very good idea.